بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على الحبيب المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. وأما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد وهو أصدق القائلين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. صلوا على محمد وآله. Respected scholars, my elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. وعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين وجعلنا الله وإياكم من الطالبين بثاره مع إمام مهدي من آل بيت محمد. When I was planning the topics for this Ashra, I had always planned, and I always try and dedicate the night of Ashura to only talking about the merits of the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. But unfortunately we are running some way behind the destination that I want to take you to, so we will have to focus most of our attention on carrying on the topic from where we left yesterday. But just a few words with regards to the merits of the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Sa'id is a lady companion of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. She comes to Imam al-Sadiq to pay her visitations in Medina. And here I want to pull a note out to my sisters and my mothers who are sitting in the crowd, that rather than the women folks of our community feeling sorry for themselves, isn't it high time that they stood up and saw that among the best of companions of our Imams there were some women. One of the best companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam is a woman who stood thick and thin with Imam alayhi salam, even in the courtyard of Muawiyah. Sa'id was a lady companion of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam who learned from Imam al-Sadiq and went and propagated his message. We are told in some traditions, out of the 313 loyal, the creme de la creme, the best of the best companions of Imam alayhi salam, the 12th holy Imam, 50 of them will be ladies. Sa'id comes to Imam alayhi salam. Imam asks her, he says, Sa'id, do you pay visitation to my grandfather, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam? She says, sometimes. He says, Sa'id, you must go for the visitation of my grandfather Hussain. For the visitation of Hussain is wajib upon every Muslim and Muslimah. In another tradition, Imam alayhi salam says that ziyarat قبر أبي عبد الله الحسين فرض مفترض على كل من أقر له بالإمامة. Imam alayhi salam says that it is wajib upon anybody who claims that Hussain ibn Ali is my Imam to pay visitation to the grave of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. In another tradition, Imam al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam, our 8th holy Imam, mentions that there is a covenant, an oath of allegiance on the neck of every believer with regards to the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam. وَتَمَامُ الْوَفَاء, and the peak or the pivot of obedience or fulfillment of that covenant is when they pay visitation to the graves of their Imams. And we find that there are tens, if not hundreds of traditions telling us about the benefits of the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam in person to the grave of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam in Karbala, to the point where Imam al-Sadiq says that every pound spent is returned back in 1,000 pounds. Every step the Za'ir who was intended to go for the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain, every step that he takes, from the moment he leaves his house, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wipes some sins away from him and gives him hasanat and raises his station in the hereafter a level. No, we are told in traditions that every creature, as you are passing by on your path to Karbala to pay visitation to Imam alayhi salam, every creature that you pass by, every tree that you pass by is praying for you. No, further in traditions we are told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints angels who from the moment you make intention to go to pay visitation to Imam alayhi salam till the day you return, And in other traditions, till the day you die, are praying to Allah for your forgiveness. In other traditions, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tasks the angels who are praying in the bargah, who are protecting the darih of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, whose prayer, according to Imam alayhi salam, each rak'ah is equivalent to 1,000 rak'at of our accepted salah. The thawab of that Allah distributes to the zuwar of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. And the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain, according to some tradition, increases our wealth, increases the health, gives you better family environment, peace and serenity within our lives. And the traditions carry on in their hundreds with regards to the merits of paying visitation to the grave of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. So much so that people came to our seventh holy Imam and they said, "Oh Imam, the time is such that the Abbasid emperors are tasking or are presenting a tax to anybody who wants to visit Imam al-Hussain to sacrifice a hand." Imam said, "Go." Of course, that does not apply to us anymore, but the command of go still applies to us. Imams alayhi salam, a man comes to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, "Oh Imam, what is the merit for one who pays visitation to the grave of any of you Imams of Ahl al-Bayt?" Imam says, "Kaman zara Rasulallah." It is as if he has done the ziyarah of Rasulullah. And what is the merit of doing the ziyarah of Rasulullah? Rasulullah says, "He who visits me in my life or after my death, I will visit him. In the hereafter, I will pay visitation to him." Then the man goes a level further. He says, "Wama liman zara Abi Abdullah al-Hussain." Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, "Kaman zara Allah fi arsheh." It is as if he has paid visitation to Allah at his throne. Here, unfortunately, we will not be able to translate, but Ayatullah al-Udma, Shaykh Wahid al-Khurasani presents a beautiful exegesis to this word. He says, "Ya Hussein, what did you do on the plain of Karbala that you turned the desert of Karbala to the arsh of Allah? You took that desert land to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did you do?" But inshallah, for another year, here we find that the traditions are so much in trying to entice us to pay visitation to the grave of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. But by Allah, if there was no other merit in paying visitation to the grave of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain in Karbala, apart from the tradition in which Imam alayhi salam says that the one who pays visitation to the grave of my grandfather Abi Abdullah al-Hussain in Karbala, he enters a smile into the heart of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. By Allah, if there was no other merit apart from this merit, me, an insignificant piece of dust in the grand universe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, me, a sinful person, from tip to toe I'm drenched in sins, in filth, I can enter a smile to the heart of Fatima Zahra alayha salam. I ask you by Allah, what is the worth of you and me and everything in existence in equivalent to a tear that comes out of the eye of Fatima Zahra alayha salam? But you and I have an opportunity to bring a smile to that broken heart of Fatima Zahra alayha salam. And it is so easy and relatively cheap to go for the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain now. Why do we allow ourselves to be deprived of this great mercy and this great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And so we should inshallah try and endeavor to try and visit him as many times as we can. Once, twice, 3 times in a year, no problems. You want to attach it to visiting Dubai, if that's what you want to do, fine. But at least let us pay visitation to Imam alayhi salam. A man with the name of Hussain al-Khurasani comes to pay visitation to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam in Medina. Coincidentally, when we look at the history of the Iranians, Khurasan is in Iran, we find that the Iranians or the community of believers in Iran has an unbelievable amount of attachment and love for the Ahlul Bayt. And indeed, they have presented some of the best of companions, from Salman al-Muhammadi till the army of Imam al-Zamana. They will continue to produce excellent lovers and Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam. Hussain al-Khurasani comes to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam in Medina. While conversing with Imam, he says, "Imam, the oppression of the Abbasid rulers is so much. Oh Imam, why don't you stand and create an uprising? Like your grandfather Imam al-Hussain. Oh Imam, why don't you do that?" Imam said to him, "Oh brother of Khurasan, I don't do that because there aren't enough loyal companions who will support me in my cause. He said to him, Imam, what are you talking about? I'm a commander in the army. You just give me a word and I will erect an army of tens of thousands of people. If my memory serves me right, 40,000 he said or more. Tens of thousands of people who will happily and willingly sacrifice their lives for you. Imam said to him, are you one of them? He said, of course, Imam, I am one of them. Imam called upon his servant. He said, go and light up the tannoor. The tannoor was lit up. He said to him, O brother of Khurasan, go and take seat inside the tannoor. When Imam said to him, go and sit down in the tannoor, he was thrown back. He pleaded to Imam. He says, Imam, please forgive me from this, from complying with this action. Imam said, La ba'sa alayk, do not worry. Moments pass, they are conversing. The servant of Imam comes and whispers in the ear of Imam, Oh Imam, there is a companion of yours who wants to pay visitation to you. Do you give him permission to enter? Imam said, who is it? He said, it is Aba Harun al-Makfuf. The same Aba Harun that we discussed a few nights ago with regards to the one who recites poetry in eulogy of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Imam says, tell Aba Harun to enter. Aba Harun resides where? In Iraq, in Kufa, or in Basra. He has come to pay visitation to Imam where? In Medina. Normally, when a grand or great companion of Imam comes to pay visitation, Imam himself would stand up. He will embrace them. He will welcome them with open arms. This time when Aba Harun enters, Assalamu alaikum ya ibn Rasulillah. Imam replies, Wa alayka assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Aba Harun, sit in the tannoor. Sit in the tannoor. He is still talking to the person from Khurasan. Aba Harun, without blinking an eye, he goes and opens the cover of the tannoor and he sits in the tannoor and he uncovers the tannoor. Imam continues in his conversation with this brother from Khurasan. How is Fulan person? How is this person doing? How is this guy doing? What has come of this person? How are these children rising? What is the ulama? What are the tasks of ulama? And he is answering with his heart somewhere else. Agitated, he says, Imam, please stop. I don't know, I cannot concentrate in this conversation anymore because my heart is burning in curiosity and my mind is burning that this person in the tannoor has become barbecued. Imam, allow me to go and see and help him. Imam said, go. He goes running to the tannoor, he opens the cover, he finds Aba Harun. Even the amama of his or the cloth of his is not burnt. Rather, he is sitting there doing the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, come out. He says, my Imam has not told me to come out yet. Imam said to him, Aba Harun, you can come out. Aba Harun comes out. The Khurasani says to him, Aba Harun, how did you with such ease go and sit yourself in the burning fire of the tannoor? And Aba Harun, how did you feel sitting in there? He said, when I sat in there, by Allah, I remembered the verse of Quran, Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. I felt coolness within this burning fire. Not only that, I thought, what shall I do? So I began doing tasbih and tahleel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I found that everything that is within this tannoor is joining me in the tasbih and tahleel. He said to him, Aba Harun, how did you bring yourself to a level where without questioning, you just went and sat in that fire? Aba Harun said, because I recognized that this man is the reflection, is the manifestation of the great mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that he cares for me and loves me more than my own mother. And so I recognize that he will never command me to do something in which there is no benefit for me. And so without questioning what he is telling me or paying heed to where I am being thrown, I simply go and comply with his command. Imam said to the Khurasani, O brother of Khurasan, how many of the 40,000 are like this, are like Aba Harun? He said, Imam, no one, by Allah. And this is where we stopped yesterday. That when we look at our readiness with regards to receiving our Imam, we find that we are still some way away from being ready for Imam alayhi salam. And I want to share with you the last few words that I heard 20 days ago in the house of Ayatullah al-Uzma, Shaykh Bashir al-Najafi. At the end of the conversation, he said, when we come to visit Imam alayhi salam, and we pray for the reappearance of the Imam of our time, there is something that we need to stand and reflect. How ready am I? He said, by Allah, I ask you. These are his words. And I am extrapolating them, but I'm giving you the gist of what he said. How many of us have sat down and reflected, is it harder to grow a few pieces of hair on my cheek, or is it harder to give my neck in the way of Imam alayhi salam? Is it harder for my sisters to cover a few pieces of hair, or is it harder to sacrifice your little Ali Asghar for Imam alayhi salam? Is it harder for you and I, the hijab of the men, to lower our gazes in front of the mahram, or is it harder to receive an incoming arrow towards these eyes? What is harder? When we sit in the majlis of Imam al-Hussain and we talk about the right of the sacrifice, this great sacrifice on our shoulders, one question we need to ask ourselves: how ready am I? Is it harder for me to do all these things, or is it harder to give your neck? By Allah, it is harder to give our lives. The people, we said yesterday, the Kufans gave testimony to Imam. You are on the right. We pledged allegiance to you, O Imam. We will give our lives for you, O Imam. But within 5 minutes, they changed their minds. They turned around. They failed in the test. Till the day of judgment, all the believers will say, Allahumma al'anhum jami'a. In the ziyarat of Ashura, we say, Allahumma al'anhum wala zalimin. And then at the end we say, Oh Allah, remove all of those people who took any sort of part in the murder of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Remove them from your mercy. Till the day of judgment, these people who failed in the test will receive the curse and the removal from the mercy, the dua for the removal of mercy of Allah at the tongues of the believers. But they were tested and they failed in the test. We also said yesterday that insha'Allah, after we die, after we are resurrected, we don't want to go to the fire of hell where these people will be dragged. But rather we want to go to the paradise where the Ahl al-Bayt will reside. The question is, tomorrow we believe in Allah who is Adil, who is just. A prerequisite to understanding Tawheed is that it is joined with Adil, with justice. We believe in Allah who is just, the utmost just. On the day of judgment, if Shimr comes up to Allah and he says, Oh Allah, you tested me and I failed, but you never tested Hassanain. You didn't bring him to year 61 Hijrah on the day of Ashura. How can you not put him in the fire of hell? Habib ibn al-Madahir might say, Oh Allah, you tested me and I passed. I earned my pass to paradise. But Hassanain wasn't there in year 61 Hijrah on the day of Ashura. He didn't present his sacrifice. You didn't test him. What right does he have to enter into the same paradise that I have earned? Now luckily, we have a get out of jail card, where Imams alayhimus salam have taught us that not a single believer will remain in the fire of hell after they have been completely purified. Completely purified. A man comes to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, Oh Imam, in chapter 93 of the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Duha, Allah says in the Quran, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. O Muhammad, O Rasulullah, Allah will give you so much until you are pleased. Oh Imam, what will please Rasulullah? Imam says, by Allah, nothing will please Rasulullah more than not a single person who had believed in La ilaha illallah remains in the fire of hell. So there is hope to all those people who have not harbored animosity towards the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam for their salvation. But do not underestimate the fire of hell. One day Amir al-Mu'mineen was sitting on the mimbar of Kufa and he was telling the people of the fire of hell and the adab in the qabr, and people were listening to him as if they were watching a movie. Imam said to him, do you even understand what I'm trying to say to you? Go home today and light the fire in your house. And the same can apply to us. Go and take the torch, light the lighter in your house, and try and place your hands underneath that lighter. See how long you can last for. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe the strongest person in the world can last for an hour. Eventually you will die if you leave your hand on top of that fire. Imam says that this is that fire which has been lowered down and diluted millions of times. The traditions tell us that the fire of hell was extinguished 70 times. Finished, annihilated 70 times, then the fire of this world was taken out and given to us. The fire of this world, the fire in the middle of the sun. What is the temperature of the heart of the sun? 6,000 degrees? 10,000 degrees? The fire of hell is millions of times more than the heart of the sun. Can we even begin to fathom the intensity of that fire? We cannot bear the pain of the fire of this world. Imam alayhi salam says, do not underestimate. While you have chance in this world, while the opportunity is open to you and I in this world, we should try and endeavor and protect ourselves from a year of punishment, a month of punishment, a day of punishment, an hour of punishment in that fire of hell. Why not? The opportunity is available to us. And so we find that Allah tested those individuals on the day of Ashura. Yet what has He tested me? On what basis will I enter into paradise? The same paradise where they have gone. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Ankabut, which we recite on the 23rd night of Ramadan, Alif Lam Mim, the first two verses. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Did people really think that they will be left alone? They say, Amanna, we have brought Iman. Who are the mu'mineen? Those who bring the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen in their heart. Yes, Allah is talking to you and I. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا. We love Ali ibn Abi Talib. We bring belief in the Ahl al-Bayt. وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. And they will not be tested. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ. The third verse, Allah says, and we have tested the people before them to distinguish the true believers from the hypocrites. Why would we not be tested? Therefore, what is our test? And inshallah we will touch on this in our final lecture the day after tomorrow. What is our test? Am I supposed to go and offer my neck? Am I supposed to get myself martyred or kill someone? No. What is our test? We will touch on that in the final lecture. But we find when we look at the sacrifice at the day of Ashura, that both sides were tested. They went through a test. One side failed, but one side passed. We still stand in front of one phenomenon. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam teaches us in various ziyarat to say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fa'afuza fawzan azima. I wish I was with you on the day of Ashura, for I would have also offered my sacrifice and attained this eternal bliss. Question. Imam alayhi salam is hujjatullah on earth. ما ينطق عن الهوى. He does not utter words in vain. Yet Imam is saying that there is a possibility that you and I seated in Peterborough can be amongst the martyrs of Karbala. According to this line, there is a potential, there is a possibility. How so, Imam? If there was not a possibility, Imam would not order us to recite this in various ziyarat. How so then? Let us reflect on what kind of individuals were present in Ashura. When we look at both camps, normally, when we imagine, if we shut our eyes and imagine the camp of Yazid, we would probably imagine vicious people with beards this long, maybe indulging in every kind of haram with crooked eyes and animalistic view of these individuals. But no, these were the same people who so convincingly convinced Muslim ibn Aqil that he wrote that letter. That these people are so sincere, O Imam, come forth. They were the same people who prayed behind Muslim ibn Aqil. How did Muslim pray? Like you and I. Therefore, these people must have prayed like you and I. How would Muslim have recited Iqama? Ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah. Therefore, they must have testified to Ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah. Yet they took the sword and they slaughtered Imam alayhi salam. Were they animals in this world? Yes, maybe the ruh was, but physically and appearance-wise, they look the same as you and I. On the other side, when we imagine the camp of Imam al-Hussain, what do we imagine them as? Saints sitting on top of mountains with their musalla and with the tasbih in their hand, and all they're doing is Subhanallah, Astaghfirullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. No, these were ordinary people like you and I. Amongst them were teachers of the Quran. Burayr was a teacher by profession in the Masjid al-Kufa. He was a teacher by profession. Amongst them, amongst both camps, there were the tradesmen, people who were businessmen, and they had stores and shops in the markets. Amongst them were landlords, like, for example, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. Amongst them were political figures, like Hur ibn Yazid, like Zuhair ibn al-Qaym. They had political influence, they were political figures. Amongst them were leaders of their communities. For example, you could call them mayors of their towns. Amongst them were slaves whose day job was to clean dishes, wash clothes and dry clothes. Amongst them were the noble ones and the slaves in this. They were ordinary people. They also had to go and work like donkeys to make ends meet, so that they can bring the food to the table for their families. They had families, they had wives, they had children, they had community problems, they had national problems, they had economic problems, they had social issues. They were just like you and I, ordinary people. When Hur was born, do you think Hur knew that I will end up being Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi salamullahi alayh? When Habib was born, do you think Habib knew that his ultimate goal and aim and achievement in life was that he will be Habib salamullahi alayh? Did they knew that? When they were present in Karbala, we know on the second night of Muharram, we recite that people didn't even know the name of Karbala. Yes, you and I know Karbala. Do you think the people of Medina and Mecca at the time knew what would the station be of those who offered the sacrifice with Imam al-Hussain in Karbala? They didn't. Nobody knew present in Karbala. Do you think the camp of Yazid thought that they are what the station is of that person who lifts a sword against Imam al-Hussain on the day of Ashura in Karbala? No. These were people, ordinary people, living ordinary lives like you and I. Yet they did something so extraordinary that Imam alayhi salam himself honors them with the recitation of the verse which we have been reciting over the last few nights on the day of Ashura, in congratulating them. Verse 23, chapter 33 of the Holy Quran, which each and every one of us will recite tomorrow in the A'mal of Ashura. مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَاهَدُوا اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. And amongst the believers, there is a group who has completed and has been truthful in fulfilling the covenant that they took with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The covenant with regards to the wilayah of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. And there are some who are still awaiting the results. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. But they never deviated from the path. They never changed their path. They remain steadfast on that path. Imam alayhi salam on this very night stands up in the tent after he had shut the light and he congratulates them. He says, by Allah, I bear witness that Allah has not given anyone companions more loyal than what he has given me. Imam is looking at the companions of Adam and Nuh and Ibrahim and Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imam al-Hasan. He says, no one in the existence of Allah has been given companions more loyal than my companions. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam is giving you and I an opportunity to enter into that group. Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. Bear that in mind. Imam al-Rida alayhi salam in a conversation with a companion of his says, لَيْسَ لَهُمْ شَبِيهُونَ. Imam says that in the creation of Allah there exists no equal after the Ma'soomeen with regards to the companions of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Imam is saying there is nobody like the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. They are honored to such a level. They had reached such an honor that Ma'soom Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam in various ziyarat says, I, Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam, I'm saying, Assalamu alaykum ya awliya Allah wa ahibba'a. Salams be of Ja'far ibn Muhammad on you, O companions of Allah and His most beloved. Then what does he say? He says, Bi-abi antum wa ummi tibtum. May my life, the Imam of Hujjatullah on earth, the essence behind the creation, for whom the creation came into existence, that Imam is standing and saying, may my life be ransomed for you, O Habib. May my life be ransomed for you, O Hur. May the life of my father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, be ransomed for you. May the life of my pure mother be ransomed for you, O companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. What a level that they have attained. What did they do that they reached that level? What did they do? How can I be amongst that group of people? What do I have to do? When we look at some of the words that they uttered, we begin to realize some of what they had achieved. The level of their sacrifice on this very night. And in Allah's realm, there is no past, present or future. This is the same night that this is the night of Ashura is taking place. We only have to shut our eyes and imagine we are there, we can see everything in front of us by Allah. On this very night, when Imam turned the light off, and he turned it back on after telling them, I want you to all go and save your lives. Each one of my companions grab the hand of one member of my Ahlul Bayt and go and save your lives. And I will not hold it against you by Allah. Instead, I will still be your shafi', your intercessor on the Day of Judgment. When he turned the lights on, he saw each and every one of them seated there. He posed the question, O sons of Aqil, it's enough that Muslim ibn Aqil has given his life. Why do you want to stay and lose your life with me? They said, Oh Imam, how can we show our face to people of Medina, saying to them that we left our Mawla behind? Zuhair ibn al-Qayn stands up, he says, Oh Imam al-Hussain, how can I leave you, O Imam? By Allah, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn says, by Allah, if Allah was to give me 1,000 lives, and in each life I was to be cut into pieces in protecting you, O Imam. And then those pieces were burnt, and the ashes of my body are scattered in the air, and Allah resurrects me, and the same is done to me 1,000 times. It is more worthy, and it is more pleasing to my heart if I am able to repel a single arrow away from you, O Imam. And these were the valiant words that were coming out. Nafi' ibn Hilal says, at the strike of midnight, after midnight, I noticed Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam leaving the tents and heading towards the camp of Yazid. Fearing for his life, I followed him on this night. He follows Imam. Imam notices that there is someone behind him. He says, Nafi', why are you following me? He says, Imam, I fear for your life. Oh Imam, these enemies are treacherous. Imam, why are you going? He said, I noticed Imam picking stones up from the ground. Imam said to him, Oh Nafi', tomorrow my children will have to run on this ground. So I'm trying to clear as much of the ground as I can, but also, oh Nafi', I want to see potentially where can they strike from tomorrow. Imam wanted to have an plan of action for the day of Ashura. Nafi' then says that on our way back, Imam alayhi salam held my hand. And he said to me, Oh Nafi', can you see in the distance those two mountains? Can you see the path that leads between those two mountains? Oh Nafi', why don't you take the cover of this night as your friend and to go and run away? Nobody will see you. And I will not hold it against you, O Nafi', go and save your life. For by Allah, they are only after my life. Nafi' dropped himself and he grabbed hold of the Imam's legs. And he says, Oh Mawla Hussain, may my mother weep in my sorrow if I was to do so. He said to him, Oh Imam al-Hussain, by Allah, if I was to ever think of doing such a thing, I pray to Allah that He makes the wild dogs of the desert eat me alive. If I were to even come to think of doing such a thing for you, O Imam. Can we begin to fathom what are these companions trying to say to Imam? Nafi' said, then I accompanied Imam to the tents. As Imam went into the tent of Lady Zainab asked a question. I was standing there guarding the tent. Lady Zainab says, Oh brother Hussain, my father Amir al-Mu'mineen was left by his companions. Imam al-Hasan was left by his companions. Have you tested your companions? When Nafi' heard this, he ran to the companions of Imam al-Hussain. He came, and Habib ibn al-Madahir and Zuhair were trying to encourage the troops for the day of Ashura. Here he comes and he says, Oh Habib, you are sitting here enjoying yourselves when the daughter of Fatima is doubting in your loyalty. Habib took his turban and he threw it on the ground, and everyone followed suit. He said, unsheathe your swords. All the companions unsheathed their swords. They lined up outside the tent of Lady Zainab. Habib now recited some words. He says, O Ahl Bayt of Nubuwwah, O holy household of the Prophet, we have taken an oath by Allah that no longer will we sheathe these swords back in their cases until we have either put them into the hearts of your enemies or have been killed as a result of doing so. Here Lady Zainab comes out and she comforts them. That maybe an answer is given to us to what these companions offered towards Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, in the words of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. In Ziyarat Ashura, in the sajda, we recite what? We say, Allahumma arzuqni shafa'at al-Hussein yawm al-wulud. Oh Allah, grant me the intercession of my Mawla Hussein on the day I meet you. وَثَبِّتْ لِي قَدَمَ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَكَ مَعَ الْحُسَيْنِ وَأَصْحَابِ الْحُسَيْنِ. And keep me steadfast on the path of Hussein and the companions of Hussein's what? الَّذِينَ بَذَلُوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. Those who sacrificed, who gave, but not gave in any kind of a way. Badalu. Imam is telling us it is not what the companions offered on the day of Ashura that gave them this station. It is how they offered that gave them this station. And we will touch on this in the final lecture, inshaAllah. This is where our attachment, our possibility comes, that we can be part of that group or close to that group. الَّذِينَ بَذَلُوا. They gave, I cannot translate the word badalu in the English language. Simply translated is that they gave their lives for Imam al-Hussein. But they did not give their lives to Imam al-Hussein. They gave it in such a way that they almost were apologetic to Imam alayhi salam, that Imam, we are sorry, we are embarrassed, we are ashamed that this is all that we can offer to you, O Imam. Such insignificant they saw their own existence. Remember Abu al-Fadl Abbas when he threw the water on the water? He says, how insignificant are you? What is your worth, O soul of Abbas? Do you want to live a moment more than your Imam? They gave their souls away, valuing it as so insignificant that they were apologetic in giving what they gave to Imam alayhi salam. And the same words apply to Imam alayhi salam when he gave his sacrifice in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Sadiq in Ziyarat says, بَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ. Oh Allah, Hussein is that individual who gave in your way badlan, in a way that Hussein ibn Ali holding the little Ali Asghar says, oh Allah, it is comforting to my heart that this sacrifice, that it is under your watchful gazes. Imam offered and offered and offered, and he was almost apologetic to Allah. Oh Allah, Hussein is embarrassed that this is all that Hussein can offer in your way, oh Allah. This was the secret behind their greatness, that they offered in the way, in the love of Ahl al-Bayt, in the way that Imam al-Hussein had offered his sacrifice, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The night of Ashura came. The day of Ashura started when all the companions were martyred. When all the Ahl al-Bayt were martyred. No one was left. Ali Akbar was gone. Qasim was gone. Abu al-Fadl Abbas was also left on Nahr Furat. When Imam now was left alone, he comes to the battlefield addressing the enemies. He says, Ala, hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anyone to come for my help? All of a sudden he heard the wailing and crying of the women folks of the camp. He returns back to the camp. He says, Oh Zainab, Oh Kulthum, Hussein is still alive. Why do you wail and why do you cry? They said, Oh Mawla Hussein, when you called for help, little Ali Asghar began crying in such a way that we had not seen him cry before. Maybe Ali Asghar is thirsty, but my heart wants to say, maybe Ali Asghar is saying, Oh Father Hussein, there is one more soldier in your camp. Imam says, give me my little Ali Asghar. I will try and beg them for a few droplets of water. Imam takes Ali Asghar. He covers him under his abba to shade him from the burning and the scorching sun of the desert. When the enemy saw Imam is hiding something under his cloak, they thought Imam is bringing Quran to demand peace from them. I will say, yes, he is bringing the little Quran and Atiq with him. Imam uncovers Ali al-Asghar. He raises him. He says, Oh enemies of Allah, if Hussein has done something to you, then tell me, what is the fault of this little Ali al-Asghar? What crime has this child committed? By Allah, the milk of his mother has dried. Historians write that Ali al-Asghar was so thirsty that his eyes had sunk into his skull. Some historians say that he reached such a state that even if he was to be given water, he would have still died out of thirst. Imam droplets of water. Then for a while Imam stood there holding little Ali al-Asghar. When nobody replied, Imam said, maybe you think that I will drink the water instead of him. Imam now places little Ali al-Asghar on the scorching sand, on the burning sands of Karbala, and Imam moves back a few feet. After a while, when nobody came, Imam came and took Ali Asghar in his hands. Imam then said, oh Ali Asghar, for the final time, complete the proof of Allah upon them. Ali Asghar pulls his dry tongue out. Historians write that the camp of Yazid began quarreling amongst themselves. Some were crying and wailing and saying, what has this child done to us? Give him some water. Others were saying, no, each and every one of them must die of thirst. Umar ibn Sa'd comes out and he says, oh Harmala, iqta' niza' al-qawm. Oh Harmala, cut this quarrel. Harmala pulled out his arrow. When Mukhtar asked Harmala, oh Harmala, how did you come to aim at the neck of Ali Asghar? He said, when I looked at the child in the arm of his father, I saw the shining neck of the little child, and I said the best aim would be to hit the neck of that child. Now Harmala takes his three-headed arrow, an arrow used to kill elephants, an arrow used to kill the camels. He points towards the neck of little Ali Asghar and he fires his arrow. The arrow penetrates the neck of Ali al-Asghar. It goes from the jugular vein to the jugular vein. I asked you, people have said, what was the greatest calamity that befell on the heart of Imam al-Hussain in Karbala? Some said maybe when he lost his friend Habib ibn al-Madahir. Some said no, maybe when he went to pick the body of John, the slave. Some said no, maybe it was when he was picking the body parts of Qasim. Some said no, it was when he was pulling the spear out of the chest of Ali Akbar. Some said maybe it was when he went to the body of his brother Abbas. But look, when your Imam remembered you, Sukaina bint al-Hussein says, I heard some lines of poetry from the severed neck of my father Hussein on the night of Ash, on the night of the 10th of Muharram, in which Imam remembers you, O Shi'as. He says, Shi'atima, in shariftum ma'adbin fadhkuruni. Oh my Shi'as, whenever you drink cool and tranquil water, remember Hussein. وإن سمعتم بغريب فانذبوني أو شهيد فانذبوني. And whenever you hear of a martyr or a stranger, remember the strangeness and the martyrdom of Hussein. Then look at when your Imam remembers you. He says, ليتكم في يوم عاشوراء جميعا تنظروني. I wish you were there, oh my Shias, to witness how I was begging them for a few droplets of water for my Asghar. I ask you, those of you who have children, who have babies, how many droplets of water does it take to quench the thirst of a 6-month-old baby? ليتكم في يوم عاشوراء جميعا تنظروني كيف أستسقي لطفلي فأبوا أن يرحموني. They were merciless towards him. وسقوه بسهم. لقد أقضبوا رسول الثقلين. They quenched his thirst, but with an arrow that pierced from the jugular vein to the jugular vein. Historians write that the head of Ali Asghar turned towards his father with a smile on his face. His soul had already departed this world, but my heart wants to ask Ali Asghar, oh Ali Asghar, why do you smile? Maybe Ali Asghar might reply that my father saw the battle of my brother Ali Akbar. I just wanted to say to my father, oh Father Hussein, how did you see the battle of little Ali al-Asghar? Allah, Imam now takes the severed body of Ali al-Asghar. Now he is baffled. What do I say to the mother of Ali al-Asghar? He goes forth 7 times. He comes back 7 times. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ridam biqada'ihi wa tasliman li amrih. Finally, Imam finds the strength within himself. He comes to the door of the tent. He says, oh what is it, O Imam? He uncovered his abba and he showed it the severed head of Ali al-Asghar. When Iwan Rabab looked at the body of Ali al-Asghar, she simply said one word. She says, oh little Ali al-Asghar, amithluka yunhar. Do they even kill the likes of you? ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. Oh Allah, we ask you for the sake of these holy nights, for the sake of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive our sins, to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, we ask you to protect Islam and all the Muslims and all the Shias around the world. Oh Allah, we ask you to resurrect us in the proximity of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Oh Allah, we ask you to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi, Sahibul Asri wal Zaman.